Hi, Doria. Thank you so much for joining the CIO Association of Canada's My Career in Tech, featuring women in technology who are empowering and supporting diversity in tech. So I thought we would start off if you could just tell me a little bit about yourself, your current position and role you're in, and also your volunteer role with the CIO Association of Canada.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I've been in the tech industry for about 15 years now, and I specialize in helping organizations to deliver business value using technology. In the last 4 years, I have been helping Professional Engineers Ontario with digital transformation and modernization. And that's one of the things that I'm really passionate about. One of my strengths is my ability to truly understand how to transition from legacy technology to modern integrated solutions that create value and bring frictionless service to stakeholders. I joined the CIO Association of Canada in 2018, and I have been on the board for the last 1.5 years.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you very much for telling us about your career to date, and also thank you so much for volunteering for the CIO Association of Canada. We appreciate that very much. This year, International Women's Day is focusing on the theme of breaking the bias to create a diverse, equitable, and inclusive world. But we know that in Canada, diversity and in technology is really low. I mean, it's really difficult, especially for women. And there's been a lot of research around women not even feeling that they have a voice in getting a role in a tech company. They don't believe tech companies want to hire them, which is really sad. So I'm wondering how you've had to deal with bias in the workplace and gender and diversity, and also what are some of the tools or examples of how we can improve inclusivity in our sector?
I think the key to breaking the bias is to, first of all, just step back and see it for what it is. I want to believe that most people don't set out to start discriminating against women. And yet, when you look at the data, it shows otherwise. It shows that women are continuously underrepresented in senior leadership roles. And this is something that we need to deal with. This is what we're dealing with right now. And we know that any kind of bias, it doesn't matter what it is, any kind of bias prevents progress. And not only for the people that it's being perpetuated against, but for everyone, for society as a whole. That said, there are some of the things that I would like to share with you that I think can improve inclusivity in the tech sector. First of all, I think every leader needs to recognize it, recognize the bias. And to do this, you need to just look at your organization. When you look at your leadership teams, you look at your board, what does that look like? I mean, we live in a city that is very diverse. Toronto is one of the most diverse cities in the world. And if your board and your leadership teams do not look like the diversity that you see when you're walking downtown, you know you have a problem. So firstly, recognize the bias. And once you recognize it, which brings me to my second point, you need to call it out. So we are living in 2022. We shouldn't be talking about these issues, but yet we are right here still talking about this. The leaders need to call out the bias. Once you recognize it, recognizing it is not enough, but calling it out and standing up and speaking out against it. And once that's done, take action. This is where deliberate, intentional, and measured approach is going to win the day. So set targets and goals that you can work towards. Only then will we begin to see a diverse, equitable, and inclusive society.
Wow, I really love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I really do agree with you. Toronto is one of the most, I think it is the most diverse city in the world. And so that idea of look around you when you're walking down the streets and when we're getting out more post-COVID, and let that reflect in your organization. I really like that. And we're doing our work within our own organization as to how we can be more inclusive in our roles in our leadership as well. So thank you for that. So the next question I wanted to ask you about, it is Black History Month. And unfortunately, when I looked at research around Black women in leadership in Canada in roles, it again, the stats are really bleaker than women in leadership. I mean, Black women in leadership, there's even seems to be more bias, or maybe not the care taken to, as you said, create that pipeline, understand what that is. So I looked at a report called the Prosperity Project that KPMG worked on, and they produced a report called the Zero Report in 2021, and they surveyed 48 of Canada's largest organizations, and they revealed that 89% of those organizations had zero Black women in the pipeline for leadership roles. So can you just provide me your thoughts on that? And really, I know you belong to organizations like the Black Professional Technology Network. They're really doing some innovative work around connecting companies to organizations, to their organizations, to build that pipeline of leadership. So I just wonder if you could let me know a little bit about that, and really how that organization and others, maybe like the CIO Association, helps you with your own career and your career strategies, especially in the area, I think, of networking and connecting.
First of all, I'd like to thank the companies that agreed to take part in that survey and to be part of that report. And my immediate thoughts, we have a lot of work to do to reach a fair representation of Black women in not only in tech, but in senior leadership roles.
Right.
And keep in mind that this is a business imperative. Studies are very clear. There are a lot of studies on this. When you do not have diversity in your teams, you're affecting your bottom line. So this is a business imperative that every leader should be looking at. So as business leaders, I would encourage all of us to look at this. With technology disrupting every industry, no industry is going to be left untouched. We are living in an age where technology is disrupting every industry, and it's very, very hard to find talent. It's getting harder and harder. And it just makes sense to widen the pool from which you're going to employ. And that includes Black women. Lee, I have an 11-year-old daughter. I need her to be able to see more and more people who look like her in senior leadership roles. For her to be able to aspire for those positions, she needs to see it. Remember, what you can see, you can become.
That's really wonderful.
And Lee, my final thoughts on this is just to remind us that Black women are not asking for a charity. All that needs to happen is for everyone to be given a fair chance to showcase their talent. And guess what else was in that report? The very few Black women who have made it to these senior leadership roles are more likely to have higher education than their counterparts. Clearly, you're looking at a pool that is a very, very smart pool, and just waiting for people to just utilize the talents that they have.
That's amazing. And I truly believe the Black Professionals Technology Network and the work they're doing to connect to these companies and saying, here's a huge talent pool that you are not even recognizing. Here's how you can connect and showcase what you have to offer and connect to individuals who are highly, like you said, educated, talented, have worked just like everyone else to get through their careers, but even probably harder from an education standpoint. I think that's amazing, and we need to really embrace and include those organizations as part of what we do.
Absolutely. The Black Professionals in Tech Network, BPTN, is doing amazing work. They're doing a fantastic job, and they're helping to showcase this talent and to connect this talent to organizations. So I think it's very timely, and a movement that I think all the leaders, everyone should be supporting, and we need to see more of. And just as a good example, CIO Association of Canada has given me a platform that has enabled me to be able to introduce the Black History Month event. And for me, I'm really, truly grateful for this, and I think this is a good start.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic, and thank you for organizing that and taking the leadership skills and initiative. And we appreciate that so much. Thank you for that detailed conversation, but I really wanted to talk about that and learn more myself as to how we as an organization can support ensuring that Black professionals in technology have a voice in our space as well. So are there 3 actions? You mentioned you have an 11-year-old daughter, and I raised 2 daughters, and it's a busy time and busy life, and we've all been affected by the pandemic. So are there 3 actions you take in your daily life and work to really break the bias and encourage a voice for women in tech? And I think probably your first one is just having your 11-year-old daughter seeing you in your role. I know for my daughters that was very empowering. As women now, they work hard and they strive to achieve, and I wanted to be a role model for them. What are some of the actions you take?
Yeah, so Lee, you're right. I try by all means to be the role model for my daughter, and I'm blessed to have a very, very smart daughter, and I'm very, very proud of her. Thank you very much for that question. I believe that daily action is what's going to help to improve the DAO, to move the DAO towards breaking the bias. And whether those actions are small or big, it doesn't matter. The key is to act. And some of the things that I do to help break the bias is I'm very, very intentional when it comes to looking out for talent. When I have open roles that I'm hiring for, I look out for female applicants. And most of the time, they're just about 10% or less. But I make sure that I give them a fair shot at being shortlisted for the interview. And then secondly, I create an environment for my team where all my staff are treated the same regardless of gender or race. And I believe in equal pay for equal work for my team. So that's one other thing that I do. And lastly, but not the least, I also mentor and encourage my female staff to take the lead in whatever project or assignment they're doing, so that they can showcase their talent and, just taking the lead in their areas of influence and expertise.
I call it woman touring.
Women touring, yeah.
Being a woman tour and working with individuals that I've worked with, I mean, there's a two-way application to it, because you think, oh, I'm going in there, I'm going to be a woman tour, but actually, you're getting woman toured right back, right? So you really
Yeah.
flow of energy and discussion and knowledge, and that's what's so beautiful about it for me,
Yeah,
you'll share that way.
absolutely, yeah.
Amazing. And so the last question here are, what are 3 tips you can provide to younger women in the workforce to really support their careers?
I would firstly encourage them to take heart, because things have gotten better and they continue to get better. And all of us as leaders must work to ensure that it continues to get better. The work that we have done so far should not be undone, but it should continue. We should continue to add on top of what we are already doing. And here are 3 tips that I would like to share with the younger women. Firstly, know your worth and what you're bringing to the table, and use that as the basis for which you're going to engage with a system that's still working through the kinks towards gender parity and bias. Secondly, the fight against bias has not been won yet. So come with your brilliant minds and fresh ideas and be part of the solution. I know that there are some brilliant minds out there who can help to solve this problem. And lastly, but not the least, get a diverse pool of allies and support system that you can rely on as you navigate through this tech industry where you're still a minority.
Wow, amazing. I love those tips. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for joining us today for this interview for my career in tech. I appreciate it very much. And I appreciate you bringing your own ideas and thoughts around how we can really break the bias and continue to move forward in our roles and support others as well. Thank you so much, Doria. I really appreciate it.
Thank you once again, Lee. Thank you for this opportunity to share my ideas. And I'm hopeful that one day we will look back and look at these challenges and see them in the history books where they belong. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you.